Okay, let's dive into this because today we are stepping right onto the very edge of history. I want you to mentally transport yourself to a highly specific, very intense moment in time. It's December 1896. You are standing on the freezing roof of the Ateneo Observatory in Manila. The air is bitterly cold, and right down below, an execution is about to take place at Luneta. In this explainer, we aren't just, reading history from a textbook. We're going to deeply analyze a moment of profound personal torment through the eyes of a teacher who is forced to watch his student die. We're kicking things off with these opening lines from Danton Remoto's contemporary masterpiece, Padre Faura witnesses the execution of Rizal. Just notice the immediacy here. By writing from the perspective of Padre Faura, who, by the way, was José Rizal's actual teacher, Remoto uses a literary technique called lyric voice and visibility. The whole poem centers entirely on internal thoughts and emotional states, using that incredibly powerful first-person I. Now, why does this matter to us? Well, using the lyric I completely strips away the cold distance of a history book. It ramps up the visibility and vulnerability, effectively making us, the readers, direct witnesses to the speaker's inner struggle. We are literally forced to feel his physical reaction to the impending death of his former student, Pepe. Which brings us to Section 1, the chilling December morning. And this brilliantly illustrates how setting and atmosphere do so much heavy lifting in literature. I mean, this chilling December morning isn't just about the weather, right? It immediately establishes this complex, incredibly heavy tone of immense pride inextricably mixed with deep, deep sorrow. We're sharing that roof with a man who is frozen not just by the wind, but by the sheer weight of what is about to happen to someone he cares for. To truly grasp this sorrow, just look at how Remoto structures Padre Faura's memories here. Faura thinks back to months ago when Pepe visited him in this exact same observatory. Faura was expecting, an innocent scientific conversation about the stars that never collide in the sky, but instead, the young Rizal asked him about purgatory. Faura remembers his student's cheeks still ruddy from the sudden sun after a bitter winter in Europe. Remoto creates the stark, absolutely heartbreaking contrast between those warm, inquisitive conversations of the past and the grim, shivering reality of this specific December morning.
Let's move right into Section 2, Lenses of Literary Critique. Now, to really crack open the mechanics of this internal torment and understand exactly how Remoto it makes us feel this so vividly, we're going to equip ourselves with two powerful academic frameworks. And don't worry, we are absolutely avoiding the dry academic jargon here. We just want to see how these work in practice. The first lens is structuralism, or formalism. Think of this kind of like looking under the hood of a car. Formalism focuses entirely on how the technical moving parts of a piece of literature, things like specific choices of tone, imagery, and theme, how they all work together like a machine to construct a unified atmosphere. It's the study of how the actual words on the page actively build that exact feeling of pride and sorrow we feel standing up there on the observatory roof.
Our second lens comes from theorist Louise Rosenblatt, reader response theory. This is the fascinating idea that a literary work isn't just some static object sitting on a piece of paper. It's an active transaction. The meaning literally doesn't exist until you, the reader, show up. You actively build the meaning by bringing your own local heritage, your anxieties, and your personal experiences right to the text. Literature acts as an inner mirror. So, as we dive into this poem, I want you to really consider how your own reality reflects the emotional truth of what we're looking at.
Moving along to Section 3, Shivering and Stinging Salt.
Let's put our formalist lens on right now and do a deep, line-by-line anatomy of how Remoto anchors us into Padre Faura's physical body. He does this mainly through sensory imagery. This is a literary technique that uses highly descriptive language to engage a reader's 5 physical senses. He's not just telling us a story, he's actively forcing our brains to create vivid mental images by appealing to touch, sight, and feeling. Pay really close attention to how visceral this gets.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how much emotional weight is packed into a mere 4 words. Salt stings my eyes. We already know he's shivering in the cold, which naturally brings tears to the eyes, right? But salt, that highly concentrated brine, it brilliantly fuses the physical reality of tearing up in the cold wind with deep, undeniable emotional sorrow. The physical sting is the exact equivalent of the emotional sting of loss.
And that sensory crossover culminates right here. The stinging tears actually cause his vision to fail. I see Pepe, a blur between the soldiers. This sensory detail just perfectly captures Padre Faura's emotional turbulence. He can't bear to look away, but he can't see clearly either. It's a moment of absolute vulnerability as the soldiers down below prepare to raise their Mauser rifles.
That takes us to Section 4, Other Torments, Other Shores.
Before we reach the climax of the execution, it's absolutely vital to see how these theories of inner struggle and response apply to other landscapes. You see, Padre Faura's specific torment is ultimately a reflection of the broader chaos of human life. It's an exhausting search for grounding that poets have explored for generations. Let's move to this comparison and see how this builds alongside other iconic Filipino poetry. On the left side, we have the state of chaos. Think of Faura's tears in the execution. We actually see this exact feeling mirrored in Carlos P. Angeles' poem Gabu, which is set on a volatile coastal landscape. Angeles uses the restless sea, constantly battering the shore, derelict in blue, as a really powerful metaphor for the chaos of human life. Now on the right, we have the state of stability. In Gabu, it's the shore and the water-worn rocks that represent the permanence and spiritual grounding humans naturally crave. We're all basically always seeking that stable shore amidst the clashing waves of reality.
So, how exactly do we find that stability? Well, this brings us to a concept inspired by artist Louise Bourgeois, art as restoration. This is the really profound belief that the core purpose of art and literature isn't just to entertain us, but to actively repair the damages inflicted in life. We see this beautifully illustrated in Luisa A. Gloria's poem, To Unravel a Torment You Must Begin Somewhere. She shows us that our personal havocs are often stored in mundane, everyday domestic objects, something like a safety pin, or the fossil of a seahorse tucked away in an earring box. Gloria writes, out of the cold current, I lift and stack stones. There are some things I can do. Guys, this is just a stunning metaphor for resilience. The active work of restoration is doing what you can, like stacking stones, despite the fact that there are some things in life you simply can't take back. And this perfectly mirrors Padre Faura. He cannot stop the bullets. But what can he do? He can stand on the roof, he can witness. That simple, agonizing act of witnessing, that is his way of stacking stones.
Which brings us to Section 5, the Dead Star Metaphor. This takes us right back to Padre Faura, standing up on that Ateneo Municipal roof for the stunning, heartbreaking climax of Remoto's poem, the exact moment the guns are raised. But to really grasp this climax, we need to do a quick recap on what a metaphor actually is. It's a figure of speech comparing two completely unrelated things by stating that one thing is another. It describes something in a way that isn't literally true, just to help explain a much deeper abstract idea.
As the soldiers raise their rifles, Faura looks down at Pepe, and then he thinks back to the stars they used to discuss, and Remoto gives us this unforgettable image. And the early morning star still shimmering, even if millions of miles away, the star itself is already dead. Let's just take a second with that. It is a moment of profound tragedy, yet it possesses this breathtaking beauty.
So, the crucial point here is how this metaphor operates on two distinct levels simultaneously. On the left side, we have the physical reality. Millions of miles away, a star has burned out. Down in Laneda, a man is being executed. They are physically dead. But on the right side, we have the light that takes millions of years to reach us. The star is still shimmering. And this is just a perfect representation of José Rizal's identity, a hero whose influence continues to guide a nation long, long after his physical death.
Let's head into our final section, the legacy of the star. But you know, the real beauty of a shimmering legacy is that it isn't a static object. It doesn't just sit collecting dust in a museum. It continues to be actively interpreted over time by the people who look up at it. And this aligns perfectly with our final framework, critical pedagogy. This involves analyzing how identity is shaped through the eyes of others, which often challenges fixed national narratives. Rizal isn't just a flat historical record. His identity is a highly fluid concept. By reading Remoto's poem and by looking through the agonizing eyes of Padre Faura, we're actually actively participating in shaping that identity. The hero's legacy is kept alive and dynamic by observers and readers just like us. Take a look at the powerful symbolic states we've unpacked today to understand how literature helps us process human torment and legacy. We saw the search for stability against the restless sea, craving the neutral heart of emotional stillness in Gabu. We saw the incredibly surreal metaphor of the moon's comb in Magloria's work, representing the permanent scars and choices that shape our very nature. And finally, we witnessed the dead star of Danton Remoto, literally the ultimate symbol of enduring influence radiating long after death.
We've applied formalism to see how these poems were brilliantly built, piece by piece. But now it's time for that reader-response transaction. Because literature is a mirror, and the meaning is completely incomplete until you look into it. So I leave you with this. As a reader bringing your own local heritage, your own modern anxieties, and your own deeply personal experiences, how does your life shape the way you view this shimmering star today? Keep stacking your stones, keep finding your shore, and absolutely keep reading.